Hello and welcome to another episode of Science Monitor, a show that brings to you the most significant news from the world of science, technology, innovation, research, discoveries and much more. I'm Aishwarya Kapoor and here are this week's headlines. ISRO successfully launches the high-power S-band communication satellite GSAT-6A using the GSLV F08 from Satish Dhawan Space Centre, Sriharikota, Andhra Pradesh. 11th Science Communicators Meet organised at the 105th Indian Science Congress in Imphal, Manipur. Low-cost indigenous technology developed at IIT Guwahati for making artificial vertebral discs for the treatment of lower back pain. Dr. G. Padmanabhan, a pioneer of biotechnology in India, releases his second memoir titled Doing Science in India, My Second Innings. Our top story this week. Indian Space Research Organisation or ISRO launched the GSAT-6A communication satellite on board the GSLV F08 from Sriharikota, Andhra Pradesh on 29th of March. The GSAT-6A satellite is planned to have a mission life of approximately 10 years. And a special feature of the GSAT-6A is its 6-meter wide umbrella-like antenna which unfolded once it was launched into space. The antenna is thrice as broad as the antennas generally used in ISRO satellites. It will enable mobile communication from anywhere via handheld ground terminals. Science Monitor brings you a report.
India's latest communication satellite GSAT-6A, the second predominantly S-band communication satellite, was successfully launched by GSLV F08 rocket from Satish Dhawan Space Centre, Sriharikota on 29 March 2018. S-band is a designation given by the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers for a part of the microwave band of the electromagnetic spectrum, which is a stream of photons, each travelling in a wave-like pattern at the speed of light. It can cover frequencies from 2 to 4 GHz. The S-band is used by weather radar, surface ship radar and some communication satellites. GSAT-6A will complement GSAT-6, which has been orbiting since August 2015. The satellite is a great deal more than a routine communication satellite. It will provide a platform for developing technologies such as handheld ground terminals and network management techniques that could be useful in satellite-based mobile communication applications.
Good evening to all of you. Today, the fifth successful launch of GSLV with indigenous cryogenic stage successfully placed the high-power S-band communication satellite GSAT-6A in the designated orbit precisely.
A unique feature of the GSAT-6A is its 6-meter wide umbrella-like antenna, which was opened once it was in space. The antenna is thrice as broad as the antennas generally used in ISRO satellites. GSAT-6A also has a smaller 0.8-meter antenna for communication in the C-band. The C-band is a portion of the electromagnetic spectrum in the microwave range of frequencies ranging from 4 to 8 GHz. The C-band is used for many satellite communication transmissions, some Wi-Fi devices and some cordless telephones. It will enable mobile communications from anywhere via handheld ground terminals. This kind of antenna, handheld ground terminals and network management techniques could be useful in future satellite-based mobile communication applications. The satellite has a lifespan of approximately 10 years.
Every year, Science Communicators Meet or the Vigyan Sancharak Sammelan is organised at the backdrop of Indian Science Congress. The objective of science communication is to ensure that efforts in science and technology are not limited to laboratories and academic institutions, but reach the grassroots as well. The forum provides an opportunity to outstanding academicians, journalists, activists, filmmakers, scientists and communicators to hold discussions on evolving critical issues of concern. Science Monitor brings you an on-ground report from the 105th Indian Science Congress held in Imphal, Manipur last week.
In the recent years, India has been making immense progress in the field of science and technology, including medicine, astronomy, mathematics, agriculture, metallurgy and architecture. Nevertheless, India's scientific wisdom has not been adequately communicated or disseminated, thereby creating a gap between the scientific community and the common man. Effective communication of India's scientific wisdom can play a very important role in not only enhancing the visibility but also promoting correct understanding. Science exhibitions, science fairs, demonstrations, seminars, workshops, lectures, scientific tours, conferences, and more recently digital software have been used as interactive forms of science communication till date. The most celebrated event in the history of science communication in India has been the formation of the Bharat Jan Vigyan Jatha in 1987 and the Bharat Jan Gyan Vigyan Jatha in 1992. During the massive event, science communicators march in groups from village to village, interacting with local people and spreading information about science relevant to their day-to-day lives. Catalyzed by National Council for Science and Technology Communication or NCSTC, Vigyan Jatha is said to be the biggest science communication experiment anywhere in the world. It is working to spread awareness among people regarding superstitions throughout the country. The idea is to help scientific knowledge penetrate India's socio-culturally diverse society and to transform it into a nation of scientifically thinking and aware people. For this, efforts have been made from both governmental and non-governmental platforms to enhance the public understanding of science. India's science communicators have used various modes of communication to reach out to the masses. The National Institute of Science Communication and Information Resource brings out 11 professional scientific journals and publishes various popular science books. The National Council for Science and Technology Communication was established to integrate, coordinate and support science communication and popularization at the micro as well as macro level. Other Indian government initiatives include Vigyan Prasar, which is an autonomous organization of the Department of Science and Technology that plays an important role in coordinating efforts among various scientific institutions, educational and academic bodies, laboratories, museums, industry and other organizations for the effective exchange and dissemination of scientific information. This year, as part of 105th Indian Science Congress, 11th Science Communicators Meet was held on 19th and 20th March with an aim to encourage and promote understanding of the method and values of science to a large audience, including persons from non-scientific background.
Science communication is important because science must reach a common man. The theme for Science Congress this year is reaching the unreached. Scientists can keep doing their science, but that is not enough for the country because ultimately the benefit must be passed on to a common man. And this should be one of the major criteria for any money spent on science and technology in the country. Science communicators should know what is to be communicated. They should also know how is it to be communicated. And equally importantly, they should also know whom is it to be communicated. If a technology is developed, but it's not used by the people, then it's useless.
On the event of Science Communicators Meet in Manipur University, many guest speakers delve on the importance of science communication in India. Apart from the guest lectures, various oral and poster presentations were also organized. The key objectives of science communications in India are to popularize and inculcate scientific temper among masses, to provide a platform for the scientists and common people to exchange ideas, to nurture the youth to take interest in science and technology, and to pursue a career in the field of science. Working scientists should devote some time for science popularization every time after developing a certain skill.
The reason why science and technology must be communicated is twofold. One is that the people learn about science and technology, the new discoveries, the new inventions and such things. But in addition, I think it does a very important role of molding people's attitude.
India has undertaken a large number of science communication initiatives and has sometimes led to the way in innovative approaches. However, science communicators should also be open to new ideas, methodologies, and programs available in other parts of the world, and similarly share with others the successful strategies that they have employed in reaching out to the masses.
It's time for a short break here, but when we return, we'll travel to IIT Guwahati, where scientists have developed artificial vertebral discs using silk fiber and modern stem cell technology. So keep watching Science Monitor.
In this episode on Indo-Tibetan Border Police Force, we will see from close quarters how this toughest combat outfit among the Central Armed Police Forces are deployed all along the crazy heights in the Himalayas.
The morale of our men is very high, and they are always there, ready, always and every time for the security of the country.
Degeneration of intervertebral disc is the root cause of severe back pain. Severity of this condition can result in limited mobility of people who have this problem. While it can be treated by medication or surgery, these procedures are costly and may also damage nearby tissues. But now, scientists at IIT Guwahati have successfully developed a low-cost technology for making artificial vertebral discs using silk fiber and modern stem cell technology. Our Science Monitor team brings you this report.
The human body is supported and stabilized by vertebral columns, also known as the backbone or the spine. There are approximately 33 small bones called vertebrae. Normal movement of the vertebral column is in turn supported by intervertebral discs. An intervertebral disc acts as a shock absorber between each of the vertebrae in the spinal column by keeping the vertebrae separated when there is an impact from activity. They also serve to protect the nerves that run down the middle of the spine and intervertebral discs. With aging or due to wrong posture, this intervertebral disc gets degraded. Degradation of disc causes severe back pain and movement of patients get restricted. At present, to treat this pain, suitable medicines and physiotherapy is given, but in some extreme condition, surgical treatment is the only option. Despite having all these options, unfortunately, none of them is permanent. All these procedures provide temporary relief and cannot restore the structure of the damaged intervertebral disc. Importantly, these surgical procedures are case-dependent and cannot be applied to all patients. To overcome this challenge, Dr. Biman Mandal and his team of scientists from IIT Guwahati have developed a new artificial vertebral disc using silk fiber and tissue engineering technology. This invention promises to provide a low-cost alternative strategy for the treatment of intervertebral disc degeneration.
Basically, is a biomaterial generally known for the textile value. But at IIT Guwahati, we are working on using this textile material for development of bioartificial implants and organs that finally would end up into humans. So there is a great need of artificial implants, prostheses and organs because the number of donors donating this is very limited. And there is no other option which is available for these needy people who are either because of trauma, injury or disease have no other options to get these organs or implants.
The vertebral column is an important part of the skeleton and helps us with our movements. As a direct result of defective posture or bone defects, the disc degrades and impacts the spine, causing severe pain and discomfort. Surgical insertion of an artificial disc between two vertebral bones is a remedy to treat this intervertebral disc degeneration disorder. But these implants do have some limitations as they are case dependent and may affect nearby tissues and remain as an artificial material. Making a material which can not only replace the damaged disc but also appears as good as normal intervertebral was a major challenge. but this challenge was successfully taken up by Dr. Biman Mandal and his team of scientists. Intervertebral disc-like shapes were prepared by using silk fibers made by Bombyx mori, which is the scientific name of the silkworm whose silk fibers were used by the scientists. This silk fiber and stem cell constructed disc mimics the basic structural functional qualities of the disc and provides sufficient mechanical strength to function in load-bearing activities, thereby supporting the body. The effectiveness of the disc is proven by a series of validating procedures, including animal trials. Efforts by Dr. Biman Mandal and his team will surely go a long way in improving low-cost silk-based bioartificial discs.
In the early 1960s, biotechnology was an emerging area of science to be explored. One of the first scientists in India who realized its potential and focused his research on it was Dr. G. Padmanabhan, an Indian biotechnologist. Over the years, Dr. Padmanabhan has emerged as a prominent figure in the field of science and technology and recently released his memoir, Doing Science in India, My Second Innings, where he describes his journey as a scientist and the growth of biotechnology in India. Science Monitor brings you this report.
The diverse field of science in India has achieved great success both in terms of innovation and research. Biotechnology in India would not have been possible without the pioneering efforts of Indian scientists who laid its solid foundation during the crucial years after the country gained independence. Biotechnology is the study of science which uses organisms, cells, or cellular components to develop new technologies or products. The products developed by biotechnologists are useful in healthcare in the form of potential drugs or vaccines. One such renowned scientist is Dr. G. Padmanabhan, an Indian biochemist and biotechnologist. Recently, on the occasion of Biotechnology Industry Research Assistance Council's or BIRAC 6th Foundation Day and on his 80th birthday, he released his second memoir titled Doing Science in India, My Second Innings. While his first memoir was To Reach the Stars or Dig the Earth, My Journey Through Doing Science in India was published by Vigyan Prasar, tracing his journey from 1961 to 1998.
I had written an earlier volume, To Reach the Stars or Dig the Earth. That was covering up to 1998. At the age of 60, I retired. I am doing science. I work with malaria parasite. I work with BIRAC. I work with many industries, helping them.
Dr. Padmanabhan has contributed significantly in the initiation of recombinant DNA research in the country. Recombinant DNA technology is a technique where DNA molecules are formed in the laboratory, then the genetic material from different sources like cells is arranged to create sequences. One of his major research work revolves around the study of malaria parasite, for which he developed an additional drug for malaria from curcumin, which is a naturally occurring chemical compound that is found in the spice turmeric. Dr. Padmanabhan has been honored with the Padma Shri in 1991 and Padma Bhushan in 2003. He was awarded the prestigious award in science Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Prize in the year 1983. He is associated with BIRAC since its inception and still serves as an advisor to the organization.
I have been working with malaria parasite for the last 3 decades, essentially trying to see, in what way it can be controlled. Curcumin from turmeric, I have found as a tremendous value in treating malaria as an adjunct drug. Not only malaria, it looks as an adjunct drug, it can treat many, many diseases. And it works by a different mechanism which people have not understood. We have unraveled that mechanism.
Doing Science in India, My Second Innings is an autobiographical account of Dr. Padmanabhan. Here he elucidates his journey, growth and evolution as a scientist in India. He explains his journey from being the first student of Indian Institute of Science to becoming the director of this institute. In addition, the book briefly explains his scientific achievements and developments of his life after 2000. At 80 years of age, Dr. Padmanabhan continues to achieve in research and holds the responsibility of several technical committees for science and technology under the Government of India. He also serves as an honorary professor in the Department of Biochemistry at IISc.
Time for a very short break here, and when we come back, we bring you some more news on science and innovation from India and around the world. But that's after a short break, so keep watching Science Monitor.
You need models. New models are required to predict. Models are also required to understand phenomena. We need to train enough people in the field on good and advanced modeling. Fundamental lacuna in our understanding in the climate system, which are going to remain and are going to be challenging. One of the things is understanding how clouds affect our climate. That understanding is probably fundamental to our having a good hold on the climate change problem.
Watch Eureka with eminent scientist Professor B.N. Goswami on Saturday 4 p.m, Sunday 12 noon, only on Rajya Sabha Television.
यही रास्ता है तेरा, तूने अब जाना है। हाँ यही सपना है तेरा, तूने पहचाना है। तुझे अब ये दिखाना है।
Enrolled as Cadet Number 1, Major Priya Jingan became the first woman cadet to join the Indian Army in 1992, an era where people were not used to seeing women in olive green uniform marching along with men cadets. Priya broke stereotypes, made officers more sensitive towards women, and also helped them prescribe standards for women in the army. Major Priya, who's currently working at Lawrence School, Sanawar, is waiting to see the day when women occupy the top posts in the army. She has been honoured with the First Lady Award by the President of India in 2018.
Welcome back. After the break, let's now take a look at some more scientific innovations and developments from India and around the world.
On 26 March 2018, K. Vijay Raghavan, one of the most distinguished biologists of the country, was appointed Principal Scientific Advisor or PSA to the Government of India. Vijay Raghavan, until recently Secretary in the Department of Biotechnology, will have a tenure of 3 years. The office of the PSA is one of the 3 scientific bodies the government relies on for advice on matters relating to science and which act as an interface between scientific institutions and the government. The other 2 are Science Advisory Council to the Prime Minister and Science Advisory Council to the Cabinet. In a first ever survey of drug-resistant tuberculosis, it was found that over a quarter of patients in India could be resistant to 1 or more drugs that can cure them. India is home to 2.8 million TB patients, the largest in the world. On 24th March, the Union Health Ministry released the National Anti-TB Drug Resistance Survey report, where it shows that India is home to 2,666 cases of extensively drug-resistant TB, which is being infected by the deadliest strain of the airborne disease and resistant to all known medicines. An indigenously built miniature camera on board Indian Space Research Organization's nanosatellite INS-1C is now sending high-resolution images of the Earth. The camera is a miniature multispectral technology demonstration was operationalized on January 16, 2018. It has been sending images to the ground station since then. Data sent by the imager could be used for topographical mapping, vegetation monitoring, aerosol scattering studies and cloud studies. Department of Oral and Maxillofacial Surgery (CDER) at All India Institute of Medical Sciences or AIIMS, New Delhi organized a conference and a seminar on systematic approach to maxillofacial trauma on 24th March. It is also known as facial trauma. It is a physical injury in the face where the soft tissues of the skin are damaged. It can be caused due to a road accident, burns, bruises or fractures. The objective of this conference was to gather surgeons of maxillofacial from across the country into a single platform to discuss the guidelines and treatment strategies in facial trauma. Scientists at the University of Turku in Finland have developed a new mobile application that can detect atrial fibrillation, which causes strokes. Atrial fibrillation is an abnormal heart rhythm characterized by rapid and irregular beating of the heart. For this, the researchers analyzed around 300 patients with severe heart problems. The application was able to diagnose with 96% accuracy for this disease. It is helpful in detecting problems like heart failure and coronary disease. The study was published in the journal Circulation.
And in the history of science this week, we remember Sir John Robert Wayne, a British pharmacologist who was born on 29th of March 1927. Wayne focused his research on how aspirin works. His research in aspirin helped in the development of new therapies that lower blood pressure, pain and inflammation. In 1982, Wayne with the Sun Bergstrom and Bengt Samuelsson was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physiology. Sir Wayne also studied the effects of blood hormones that affected the width of blood vessels and controlled blood pressure. He co-authored several books like Metabolic Functions of the Lung with Y.S. Barclay in 1977, Prostacyclin with Sun Bergstrom in 1979, and Aspirin and Other Salicylates with Regina Botting in 1992. Sir Wayne was the Fellow of Royal Society in 1974. He passed away on 19th of November 2004. His research on aspirin and understanding of how it works has contributed immensely to the pharmaceutical industry. Well, that is all for this episode of Science Monitor. You can send your feedback and suggestions to Science Monitor on our email ID news@vigyanprasar.gov.in. You can also write into us at Vigyan Prasar C24 Kutub Institutional Area, New Delhi 110016. We'll see you again next week with another episode of Science News and Innovations. Till then, goodbye and take care.